It is a brand new school year. My name is Gabriella Maffei. For those of you who are new to the district, I'm the superintendent. And I am standing behind a podium, but if I look different to you, it should stress the importance of reading the opening letter so that you keep in the know of everything happening in the district. Before we begin this morning, I'd like to start out introducing our amazing and supportive Board of Education, beginning with Dr. George West, our Board President. As he's coming up to address you, we also have our Vice President, Lun Kwok Nguyen. And our newest Board of Education member, who many of you may remember from her years working in the district, Mrs. Terry Rocco. And Dr. West will be starting us out this morning.
Three-story parking structure and air conditioning in the office. This is a very special year for the Garden Grove Unified School District. 50 years ago, last month, the elementary school district called Alamedas Elementary, the Garden Grove Elementary School District, and the Garden Grove Union High School District dissolved to form a new unified K-12 school district. In its first year of operation, under the leadership of Dr. Hinton Bell, the Garden Grove Unified School District operated 58 schools, serving 54,000 students. Less than 10% of those enrolled were students of color. The process of unification was no easy task. 3 school boards, made up of 15 elected officials, and 3 superintendents had to agree to create a single school district with a 5-member board and 1 superintendent. The goal of the negotiations was the same goal we have today, using scarce resources to prepare all students to be successful and responsible citizens. The year 1965 was a year of unrest. President Lyndon Johnson was sworn into his first full term as president. The war in Vietnam escalated, and UC Berkeley became a center of the anti-war movement. Martin Luther King led his march from Selma to Montgomery, and 6 days of rioting and arson took place in Watts, leading to the deaths of 34 people. While buildings burned in Los Angeles, President Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act into law. The Beatles toured the U.S. The Gemini program was preparing astronauts to land on the moon. A 13-hour blackout left 30 million people in the northeast United States in the dark, creating a spike in the birth rate for New York City. The Dodgers won the World Series, and the NCAA basketball champion was UCLA. The average annual income in the United States was $6,450, and a new home in this area cost $13,600. There was a very good chance, if you were a veteran teacher in 1965, that you received your education from one of the 5 largest teacher preparation programs in the state: UC Berkeley, UCLA, San Jose State, Long Beach State, or the University of Southern California. Credentials were issued by the Department of Education. There was no commission for teacher credentialing, and all credentials were issued for life. In 1965, a federal funding package for education, the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, implemented as part of President Johnson's War on Poverty, created a landmark categorical program and a model for the future. In fact, this funding is perpetuated in No Child Left Behind. Schools were financed through local property taxes, and increases in school budgets were submitted to the voters as tax override elections. The process required that pay raises be approved by the community. Education for special needs students was a local prerogative. In many areas of the state, no programs existed for these students. The first true mandate to educate all the children of all the people, Public Law 94-142, was signed into law by President Gerald Ford in 1975, and it is perpetuated by the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. The same is true for English learners. No structured ESL classes or support was required for non-English speaking students. Our legislature did not mandate such services until the 1974 California Supreme Court decision of Lau versus Nichols. Classroom technology in 1965 consisted of film strip, movie, or slide projectors, along with record players and reel-to-reel tape recorders. In 1976, a California startup company called Apple donated a few first-generation Apple I PCs to a local public school, and the rest is history. As early as the mid-1920s, Garden Grove was recognized for its excellent schools and outstanding instructional programs. At the time of unification, the Garden Grove Way, highly qualified teachers and staff, providing a rigorous and supportive academic experience that motivates all learners to meet high expectations, was well established. The school board is proud to be part of the Garden Grove family. We appreciate the contribution each of you make. When we attend an event, be it formal or informal, we always receive positive comments about our educational programs and the support you provide the children and young adults in our community. We thank you for your service and wish you a rewarding 50th anniversary school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. West and Board of Education, for your outstanding support of our schools and programs. This morning, I'm very enthusiastic to be here to present some information to you on our Garden Grove Way. I was going to say new, but it's not new anymore. It's a third year since the development, which many of you are very involved in. So of course, it wouldn't be coming back to school without welcoming all of our wonderful students. And whether you work in a classroom with children, whether you work in the school office, on the grounds, helping to support to keep our schools clean and updated, serving lunch, supervising students, or in one of the many support roles at a school site or district office, we appreciate the commitment that you make to our children to make Garden Grove Unified School District a truly special place. Last year was a year of many firsts for us. It was the first year with our new state standards. We also implemented, for reals this time, our SDAC testing, also known as CASP. We'll talk a little bit about this morning. We had our local control accountability plan, which was our first year of implementation last year, as well as the first year of the Garden Grove Way, our new strategic plan, with our goals that articulated not a new direction for the district, but what we've always been doing and always been emphasizing. And then throw in a little bit of modernization here and there for our schools. Some of you are saying, ours is done, and we've seen the beautiful new campus as a result, and others are in the throes of modernization, and yet others are awaiting their turn to begin later this school year. This coming year is another exciting year for us. We do have significant new dollars from our local control funding formula. You will find, as you hear from your principals as you come back to school, that our site budgets cumulatively were increased by $4.4 million. That's thanks to the state allocating additional funds to education, and that's going to directly increase and improve services for our students. We also have a very exciting one-time only. This is our second time doing the one-time only, but it is not an ongoing expenditure of $100 per student, so it's going to be $4.5 million that we're spending directly to put technology devices and supports within your schools, and you'll be hearing more about that from your principals as well, for those of you at the school site. We have the implementation of our math program that so many of you participated in last year, and thank you so much. I know how challenging it is to have an old program and also be piloting a new, and I can't speak enough to the professionalism that you demonstrated. And we will have a new pilot this year for English language arts. We do have our first results from the SBAC that we'll talk about in just a moment. Our first annual report, which will be coming out soon, and I'll give you some sneak peeks of the Garden Grove Way. And as Dr. West mentioned, it's our 50th anniversary, so we have quite a lot to celebrate. I'm sure you've picked up your button already, or your pin, and it's wonderful to see our fantastic new logo. This is our 50th logo, which was designed collaboratively by our secondary fine arts teachers, visual arts teachers, and it represents, you can see in the center area, our core logo, which is basically representing our three goals: the personal skills, the academic skills, and the lifelong success. And so that 50th anniversary logo is what we're going to be using throughout the year. And then we will have our core logo. We can't keep using the 50th anniversary for the next 50 years. So we'll have our core logo, again, representing that continuum of students starting with us as little ones, continuing on, and we're providing for them both the academic support, the personal support, for them to meet those lifelong goals. You all remember, of course, our three main goals of our strategic plan and our mission and vision that we've been talking about for the last several years. I'm very excited to tell you that coming soon we will be having our annual report. It'll look like this. On the cover it'll be a little bigger. And we will be sharing with you some qualitative and quantitative data in that report. One of the things that we found as we were developing these goals 2 years ago, very collaboratively with our staff, with our parents, with our students, and with the wider community, is that we've always had data on our academic goal, primarily academic content and our English learner skills. But we haven't had as much data around scholarly habits, and in particular motivation, socio-emotional well-being, and climate and culture. And so you'll see more qualitative data in that. The qualitative data is really coming from the surveys that were administered last year, and many people had asked, why are we doing this large-scale surveying of our population? Well, first of all, we want to receive feedback. We want to validate the things that are going well. And you will see from the data that there is a lot that's going very well. Overall, the results were astounding in terms of the positive feedback from staff, students, and parents. But at the same time, we're always looking for how can we continue to have ongoing improvement to benefit our schools and departments. We also want to look to see between our three primary stakeholder groups, our students, all of our staff, and our parents, are there places where maybe perceptions differ? So maybe 2 out of 3 groups feel one way and another group feels another. That's a perception that we want to address. We also, while we won't have it all for you yet, it's quite a bit, the open-ended data. There were some questions that were asked. We're compiling that, and that's going to be provided at the school level and at the district level. But overall, one of the things that we know from the survey results is we had very, very positive results. We had many strengths to celebrate, we had some opportunities to address, and we had some perceptions to analyze. There are a few places where maybe students and staff may have indicated one perception and parents weren't quite so sure. You are going to be back at your school site and in your department having these results available to you. You'll be seeing the district-wide results. We have results by level, so you can compare elementary to elementary, intermediate, and high school, and so forth. And you'll also have it specific to your school or department. And your administrator at your school or department is going to be sharing this with you in the months to come. So it was pretty overwhelming, the amount of response we had. All of our 3rd through 12th grade students were surveyed, so that was kind of easy. We did it in class, so it's not like they had a choice. So we had 33,631 students. Basically, everyone who was in school on that day from 3rd grade through 12th grade participated. Then we had, which was really striking and first time ever for us, almost 20,000 families that submitted back either on Scantron or in survey, online, SurveyMonkey. And that's amazing because in our district, although we have nearly 47,000 students, we only have about 26,000 families because families have multiple children. So that's a large percentage, over 75% of the families that we have in the district that took the time to respond to the survey, and that was really amazing. And then we had 2,500, a little bit over, staff members as well. So I wanted to take a little time with you to share some of the highlights before we get into the goals. And then it would not be, even though we have a full house, it would not be an effective Garden Grove keynote or training if we didn't have some time to talk to a partner in process. So first of all, students. Our student surveys, the students strongly agreed to agree. It was arranged based on the question of a high of 93% and a low of 47%. So in the far left-hand column, you can see the highs, and the highest one, I sort of summarized the questions. These aren't the exact wordings. The highest response, with 93% of students responding, is that teachers believe I can learn and do well. There was also another question about teachers believe I can be successful that was above 90%. I have a chance to participate in class discussions. I can do my work if I don't give up and I follow directions. Those questions were all scored by students overall, of all of the 33,000 students, above 90% agreed or strongly agreed. That's exceptional. We did have some lower scoring questions, the lowest being 47% and the others being in the high 50s to mid 60s. Bullying is a problem for students. Adults are treated with respect. We'll have to work on that. My school is clean. Students follow school rules. And then our lowest scoring question, I have to be smart to do well in school. And we'll talk about that a little bit later when we get to motivation. So I wanted to give you about 2 minutes to turn to an elbow partner, and because we have an odd number of people, you just kind of have to figure out who you're going to share with. Let's take 2 minutes to talk about what are some of the things you see in those results.
One thing I think that's amazing about the survey is the teachers believe I can learn, do well, and be successful. And that just shows how great our teachers are, and how positive we are, and what we do for our students.
Students have heard that. I can do my work if I don't give up. It's so exciting. From our staff, we received a range from strongly agree and agree from a high of 98.2% to a low of 66.7%. Our highs, the highest question at 97%, actually it was 98.2%, was students are happy at this school. That was lovely. That made me happy. And also the remaining questions that were above 97%, adults care about kids, Students feel safe. That's a grammar error, I'm sorry. School is supportive and inviting places to learn. You know, my husband's an English teacher and he'll kill me if I have that. It's like, what? She was showing it to us. Teachers believe kids can be successful, and at 97.5%, I am proud to be an employee of Garden Grove Unified. Our lowest questions, but still, to say that the lowest was 66.7% agreeing or strongly agreeing is not a bad place to start, were most students persist when tasks become challenging. District provides two-way communication, we're working on that. Students at this school know how to study, and district office asks for input before decisions. Those were the lowest scoring, but in contrast to the students, which the lowest was just a little bit below half, we have almost 2/3 of folks agreeing or strongly agreeing, and that's the lowest question. So that's the good news, is while we still have areas to grow, we are starting in a very solid and strong position. We also surveyed our parents, and again, the amount of response from our parents was overwhelming and so pleasing. So our parents were so positive. There was only actually one question that was below 82%. So our highs, which were above 95 in order, students understand the rule consequences. Our parents feel that they're kept informed about district and school events. We offer translation and interpretation to them. This one was really special. My child's background and culture is respected. Over 95% of parents indicated that. That's so wonderful. And I feel welcome at my child's school. Those were the highest scoring, all above 95%, between 95 and 97.2% of 20,000 families agreeing or strongly agreeing. That speaks to the work that you do every day with our parents. Our lowest question was sort of an outlier and something we'll talk about in a little bit as well. My child has to be smart to be academically successful in school, 42.8%. That was a very much an outlier because all of the other questions, as I mentioned, were 82% or higher, agree or strongly agree. And it's very similar to what the students indicated, and it sort of tells us that while we've come a long way in our understanding of mindset, that we have to continue to support our students and parents in understanding mindset as well. The second lowest, it was kind of hard for me to find lowest, but the second lowest was at a 82.4, which isn't very low, and that was my child knows how to study for tests. So that's the results back from our parents. We had such a wealth of open-ended information that we can't provide it for you here today. But these are little wordles that sort of represent for you one of the open-ended questions on the top. Think of a teacher who makes you want to learn. And boy, the responses, and I'll share a few with you later on, were overwhelming. Just how inspiring and motivating you all are. And then the second question was, what is it that you like best about your school? And you can see all of the wonderful things that they put, nice, fun, teachers, activities, students, friends. And these are the results from our students. As we're thinking about the goals, and we're going to go into more depth into some of the results by goal, really the work we're doing that we're engaging in together as a district is part of our collective success, and it's not just about the success of our students, because the success of our students reflects our success as adults in helping to support them. And as we think about our 3 district goals and talk a little bit more, I want to invite you, not everyone works directly with students day to day. And I want you to think about how these goals, our academic skills, our personal skills, and our lifelong success, really generalize to us as adults working in the organization, as well as to helping to support our parents. And to delve a little bit more deeply into the work we're doing around healthy organizations, I'd like to introduce Jolie Armitage, the Assistant Superintendent of Personal Services.
Good morning. The energy in here is not only healthy, it's vibrant, and it feels great to be here. A few years ago, Gabriella asked me to look into high-performing organizations and healthy organizations. And it turns out that healthy organizations are high-performing, and high-performing organizations are also healthy. And when we look at the strategic plan, the building blocks for a healthy organization are just perfectly aligned. So let's look at the strategic plan in relation to our adult stakeholders. Goal 1, academic skills. Well, this translates to professional development for our employees, continuing to develop ourselves in work and career. Critical thinking and problem solving will support us as we move through our careers. Goal setting for us to master our current project or professional advancement are all part of Goal 1. For teachers, this means professional development to support effective teaching and learning, working with special and diverse populations, using technology, including classroom integration as teaching and learning tools, as well as technology for communication. For classified staff and for site administrators and district administrators, this means professional development to support job-specific needs, effective tools and resources in order to do the job, and working with special and diverse populations. Just like our teachers, we're all diverse, and we all need to learn to communicate and get along well. For our parents, this means the development as parents to support our children as they navigate their academic career. The Goal 2 is kind of where personnel lives, and it's the personal skills, and it's the heart of who we are and how we feel about our work. The focus in Goal 2 is about maintaining a growth mindset and a positive attitude, which directly impacts our ability to grow professionally and personally. The focus is how we feel about ourselves and others, maintaining positive, respectful interactions with coworkers, parents, and the community. For all staff, this means customer service and communication, a positive work, school, office culture and climate, and receiving individual support from all of us and from each other. Goal 2 for parents translates to the same thing, maintaining a growth mindset with their children and as they develop through their school careers, modeling positive interactions with their children and giving them unwavering support as they learn, maintaining high expectations for them and instilling a strong belief that they can do it, and positive communication with the school, attending parent conferences, and parent education are all part of successful parenting. Goal 3 is lifelong success. For our employees, it's exactly the same for our students. Whether we want to advance through our careers, use our current position as a means to a different career, or simply thrive in our work, lifelong success is something that we want for everyone. Goal 3 for our parents means being successful parents through all phases of their children's lives. And being successful parents also means we have successful children. I know I love to celebrate my own child, my own son, who's 21 now, no longer a baby. But as he graduates college and as he goes on to his career, it makes me feel like I've done a good job. All stakeholders, all of us, every one of us play an important role in supporting students to meet the goals. And by meeting the goals themselves, we are all successful. This is what a more healthy organization looks like. Our strategic plan is not just for students. It applies to our employees and parents as well. All stakeholders play that important part. And as successful, happy people, we're better able to support our students and community. Parents and community can develop the skills and attitudes to navigate parenting in relation to the educational system. And they will be prepared for lifelong success as parents. Employees are also learners in the organization, and our skills and our attitudes are important to the success of the organization. By developing our skills and our attitudes, we'll be prepared for lifelong career success. An organization that supports employees to develop and grow to their personal best is a highly successful organization, a healthy organization, and one in which everyone thrives. Thank you so much.
For those of you who are going to have a chair back there, that's where I go. So we're going to go briefly through, I put some of the very nurturing, is she okay? I want to make sure she's just so you know, sitting back there. So goal 1, we're going to go through each of the goals, share it and talk a little bit about the data, and then give you some time to talk. So goal 1, as you know, goal 1A, academic content. 1B academic English, and 1C scholarly habits. So we have had and will continue to have a variety of different metrics to measure student success in both academic content and academic English. We always have wonderful formative and summative classroom assessments, both formal and informal. We have our benchmarks and other district-aligned assessments. I'll talk in just a moment about our new state testing for academic content, and we will be having a new test from the state to replace CELT. It's called LPAC, English Language Proficiency Assessments for California, and you'll be hearing more about that this coming year. Many people have asked, so what is happening with SBAC? And this is some new terrain for us, to be honest, as a district. Those of us who were around when we first began CST, as a new iteration coming off Stat 9, coming off CTBS, all of the previous tests have been around for decades and decades. So before I share with you just some general district data, I want to provide a few cautions. The first is that this is the baseline year. While there was a field test last year that was for the purposes of testing out the questions, it really didn't yield us any student level data. The test items, unless you were actually in the computer lab looking over their shoulder, we really don't know exactly what the questions or content were, nor the specific standards that were assessed. So far, the results we have, they're getting very close, and as of today, they may be 100%, but over the summer, they've been trickling in. Unlike the previous CST, where we didn't get an issuance of the results until it was 100%, throughout the summer, we've been, 87%. 90%, and it varies by grade level and then by school. So right now, the results you'll see are not 100%, but they're pretty close district-wide, so it shouldn't change radically. We don't yet have detailed results. So in the new standards, there's something called the claim level. So in English language arts, that would be reading or writing, listening and speaking, and research reference. Well, to say how a student did in reading is a pretty dense topic, and it's not yet, the results are not yet broken down into different elements of reading. So it's not quite the sort of detailed results that we're used to with content clusters with the CST, where we could actually look at how students did at the standard or at the cluster level. The terminology, the state is still sort of, to be honest, waffling a little bit on what they're going to call the different bands. They're no longer called far below basic, basic, proficient, and advanced. So right now we're sort of sticking with a 1, 2, 3, 4. There will be some student reports that are going to be coming out from the state, and you will see a preview copy of those. And we will also preview with you the information in 2 weeks that's going to be coming out, well, within the next 2 weeks, that's going to be coming out from the state. We don't yet know at what level it's going to be released. If it's going to be school site, it may or may not, or it may just be district level data. And we also don't know how well others are performing. So because it's the baseline year, we don't know did we do better or worse than other districts? We figured we did better. But we still don't know. And we also have to spend some more time once it's 100% analyzing it. So in the interim, we're focusing on what's in our control, which is amazing first good classroom instruction and the assessments that we already have, as we're coming to terms with this brand new system. To be honest, that's how districts across the state are looking at it. There's a lot of ambiguity still, it's brand new, and it's very complex. But I will share with you some of the general district data. You can see here the grade distribution by grade level, and so this is district-wide. At the time of this chart, we were between 97 and 98% district-wide reporting. There are 4 bands. This is the language that is being used on the parent report. It's not necessarily the language the state is going to hold to. And on the parent report, it has not met, nearly met, and exceeded. So when we combine the met or exceeded, which is pretty much the equivalent of proficient or advanced, either meeting the standard or going beyond the standard, we have a range in English language arts of averages. And at first you might say, that's good, that's bad, I don't know what it is. And the reality is, a statistician will tell you, I don't know what it is yet. There's only one piece of information that I know, which is that the Smarter Balance Assessment Consortium did identify what would be the average distribution across the multiple states, because SBAC is not only administered in California, it's administered in a few dozen states. What would be the general distribution of students falling within the 4 bands? And that's a chart that's very hard to see, but right here, we'll kind of show you what it looks like. So their estimated number of students that would be proficient or higher were these percentages in the SBAC estimated percentage. And what you can see, which is actually, I think, the first initial good news that we've had as a district, even though we don't have a lot of other information, is that for the most part, it's at or above what their projection was for that distribution, for what that normal curve would be. So just this little -1 is pretty inconsequential, plus or minus 1 or to 3 percentage points. But for the most part, it is at or above what they considered would be an average distribution. Our English language arts scores, typically, given the large number of English language learners that we have in our district, have not always been as strong. But we've actually found that in some initial looks at what may be happening statewide, that we have some strong performance and stronger relative performance in ELA than in mathematics. And that's not a surprise, given that the nature of the English language arts test is not as different as the math test. And those of you who administered it with your students could see that the types of questions students were being asked in math had changed significantly from more of a number sense, particularly in the younger grades, to much more higher level application. So our math scores, we didn't see as strong overall in terms of just that combined percentage or met. But again, when we look at what SBAC says the average distribution would be, we actually see that again, we're right at or above what their level would be. So you might be concerned and say, ooh, 35 here with math 11th grade, but their estimated percentage of students who would fall in that band was only 33. So if we go by what their initial norming was, I would say that our results are pretty on target. What we don't know yet is what the statewide averages are. We won't find that out until later this week, and we'll be providing the principals with as much information as possible about what is going to be released. The bottom line is, this is a baseline year. These scores may be like, wow, amazing in comparison to what others do. They may be average. I suspect they're going to be similar to what they've always been, which is there's going to be districts that we continue to outperform, and there's going to be districts that outperform us. And we're going to continue to work to support our students, but we know that test scores, especially in a new assessment, are only one measure. And we've really been talking quite a bit with our principals and assistant principals to say, until we know more and we have more information to interpret, it's very difficult to say the so what of what does this data mean. The other thing that's important to remember, regardless of whether the test scores are cause for celebration or, okay, they're about where they used to be, or maybe there's some areas we need to shore up, test scores themselves do not guarantee academic success. And we all know as parents and as adults, folks who can score well on a test but maybe could get an F in a class because of work habits and because of motivation or lack of support. And so we don't want to put too much stock into what students are able to do on a test, because we want to be thinking about what is it that students actually are doing. And that's where we get to goal 1C, which is our scholarly habits. We know that scholarly habits are observable actions. They're not feelings or thoughts, but they're things that we can actually observe, like scholarly behaviors in the classroom. Many of us are familiar with slant, sitting up straight and near the front of the class, leaning forward, asking and answering questions, nodding and smiling, tracking the teacher with your eyes. I had a young man at Fitz that I'm working with this summer and teaching him slant, and he called me aside very respectfully and said, Dr. Maffei, are you sure that teachers want us to smile at them? Because they're going to think I'm laughing. I don't think they're going to like it. And I'm like, they're going to like it, Anthony. Believe me, they're going to like it. Like, he was just very incredulous that we're teaching the nodding and smiling. And he's like, I don't think they're going to like it. And of course, he was smiling like this, kind of scared. And I said, well, maybe if you smile like that, they You may not like it, but let's practice. We had little mirrors and we're practice smiling together. But in addition to making that good first impression, it's about goal setting. It's about taking notes and learning how to study and how to manage your time. And these are things that can be learned and can be taught. You're not born knowing these. It's learning how to be a student versus learning the content. And of course, learning how to be a student is what helps you learn the content. And it's not something that we've measured a lot. And really the only place that it might be reflected would be in the work habits part of the report card. So it's something that we really want to focus on. When we looked at the survey in terms of Goal 1 overall, some of the good news, 88% of students indicate that they can use different strategies to help them learn. That's amazing. And those strategies are strategies they learn from you. However, we have to be cognizant that a third of the students don't understand the relationship between looking and acting like a scholar, like my little Anthony. They want me to look at them the whole time? And academic success. They don't ask questions or seek help when they don't understand, and that's something we have to teach is help-seeking behaviors. How do I ask questions? How do I even generate questions? And they don't know how, they report, but they don't know how to study for tests. Nearly a third of the school staff also agrees that students don't know how to study for tests. And 20% of parents agreed as well. And then we know that from the survey results that many stakeholders are confused about what scholarly habits mean. They may think of it more as a feeling or a thought and not necessarily a skill that can be taught. So before we start to talk a little bit about our overall Goal 1, I wanted to have our Assistant Superintendents of Elementary and Secondary Education, Sarah Westcott and Kelly McCamus, come up and share with you a little bit what's happening at our school sites to support Goal 1 and Goal 2.
Thank you, Gabriella, and good morning, everyone. And the first thing I want to say is on behalf of the Offices of Elementary Instruction and the Offices of 712 Instruction and me and Kelly, we want to say thank you from the bottom of our heart, whether you are teachers, leaders, or support staff for the exceptional work you did last year. We know it was a year full of change, and you helped our students realize the promise of the new standards by making sure they had everything they needed to be successful. So thank you so much.
As Sarah and I were reflecting this summer, talking about the great work going on in our schools, one of the things we know we do really well to support our strategic plan in elementary and secondary education and through our teachers is taking a strong look and focus at goal number 1, the academic skills. And Sarah and I have a few areas here we'd like to highlight with you around the focus in elementary and secondary education as we move into the 15th school year, particularly around what are we doing as we move forward this year around those academic skills.
Well, you heard Gabriella mention that a major focus will be on our new math adoption. At the elementary level, this is the first time in about 12 years that we have had a new textbook. So that means some of you have gone through most of your entire career using the same tools. So we know this will be a big shift for you. We are going to be focusing on this for our first trimester, providing extra support, K-8 through our Bechtel grant, but at all levels, and helping you get used to those new texts and what the new standards mean as interpreted through those textbooks.
In addition, around the math adoption, I know our 7-8 teachers, just like the elementary teachers, are quite happy to have those new math books in their classrooms. And as we start the school year, I know we'll be making changes and adjustments based on enrollment. And I know I'll give a shout out as well because our secondary higher level math courses in 9-12 have new textbooks as well. And I know they'll be engaging in those opportunities for learning with students this year. Also, as Dr. Monty mentioned earlier, this was a year of many firsts, and she used the fun term, the for real SBAC year. We've done a lot to prepare our administrators, our teachers, and our support staff in supporting students and taking SBAC for the first time. And one of the things we want to highlight with implementation of SBAC as we move into 15-16 is that allowed our schools to have a large number of computers or acquisition of technology take place in the classrooms, K-12, but in particularly 2 through 11 for SBAC. And one of the areas of focus you will see is in instructional technology, is how to use those computers, that software, and that type of information as tools in the classroom beyond SBAC, but also to better prepare our students when they do take SBAC. And in addition, we'll be preparing our administrators with ongoing conversations and tools to support both classified and certificated staff and parents in how to understand and interpret the SBAC data.
Well, as if getting used to our new math textbooks wasn't enough, we are beginning already to look at new English language arts materials. So if you teach English language arts, as all elementary teachers do, or you teach it at the 7-12 level, we are preparing currently behind the scenes for ELA and ELD materials by looking at what the publishers are offering. Later in the first trimester, we will have a K-12 consult to begin to identify materials to pilot. We will then be piloting materials on a short schedule through January through March. So we'll be looking for teacher input and teachers to pilot coming up very shortly. And really, in order to make a success of both of the implementation of math and ELA and all of the other content areas that you teach, we need to continue to focus on collaboration. Because we know, as we've talked about in the past, successful teachers are even more successful when they have a successful team. And collaboration is a huge part of that. Please know that the offices or the departments of K-6 and 7-12 instruction are busy working on protocols for you to follow to help you plan for your new materials and to figure out your pacing. And they will continue to support you through collaboration so that you are maximizing your time with your new materials and preparing well as we move forward.
As Julie shared with you earlier this morning, we were talking about healthy organizations. One way we do that is through collaboration, and in having those structures is key. We know that as adult learners, whether we're certificated or classified staff, having that structure and opportunity to come together to collaborate is key to our professional learning, both personally and professionally. And one of the common threads you see in K-6 and 7-12 is a structure for how we collaborate. And we do that through professional learning communities and through instructional leadership teams. That focus and that anchor of how we come together to collaborate will be a key emphasis that we will support you with through the offices of instruction and through Sarah and I with our administrators on how to use that time and function like a PLC, a professional learning community, as well as the rich strategies and conversations and collegiality that go on in an instructional leadership team to ultimately drive instruction and increase our student achievement goals.
And if you have instructional leadership teams formalized at your school site, you will be or already have received a protocol to help you look at the first trimester for the math adoption and to develop pacing. And you will find that you have lots of time built in there at the elementary level for you to get used to the materials. And if you are not, your principals are ready to share those protocols and planning tools with you as you report back to school.
In looking at Goal 1, and Gabriella mentioned it, we cannot be remiss in really not identifying, and I know we all are working at this across our schools and in our communities on that Goal 1C, scholarly habits that resides within that academic goal we have. And we'll be doing a lot, and this summer through the offices of instruction, identifying the tools, the resources, and the strategies on how to better support our teachers and our students around those scholarly habits so students can self-regulate, monitor, and adjust their own learning to be successful in their academic goals. So a lot to come on that in the 15-16 school year. And as that, it's a nice lead-in for us as we move into the second element of our strategic plan that is quite passionate, it's quite important to us, and that's really as we move into Goal 2, the personal skills.
And one of the things that all teachers will be hearing about during this next 4-day period of time that we have dubbed Kickoff Week, because we already had Super Week last week, you will be working with your school site together to take a look at your data from the survey, but also to look at how teacher expectation might play a role in students' motivation. And you'll be identifying strategies that increase student motivation and learning more about TESA, which is Teacher Expectation Student Achievement. And in the second bullet of things that we're really going to be working on this year and we continue to strive for, and you heard Gabriella allude to this as well, is to make sure that our school climate is positive for all of the people that live at that school. Probably feels like more than you're at your home sometimes. So we want to make sure that our students have a positive climate to come to school so they can be successful, that our parents feel welcome, and also that our teachers and staff feel that they get to come to work in an environment where they feel valued, they feel safe, and they feel comfortable to take risks and to do the important work that all of us are engaged with in education. So we will continue to partner with our associations to make sure that our schools are the best possible culture and climate for all of the learners in our organization.
And Sarah and I want to thank all of you for a fantastic opportunity to kick off our year 15-16. The Offices of Elementary and Secondary Education would like to thank all of our classified staff, the support staff that we also know contribute to Goal 1 and 2 every day for our teachers and administrators. So here's to a great 15-16 school year, and here we go.
So now it's time to talk for a little bit. We are going to reflect on Goal 1. So the discussion questions within your pair or trio are, in which elements of Goal 1 do you feel we are most successful? And which elements of Goal 1 do you feel we need to focus on further? And that might be something district-wide, by school or department. And it's not necessarily just for students. As Jolie mentioned, it's really about supporting all of us. So we're going to take about 4 minutes, and someone will come up magically and volunteer to share. I know that will happen. So 4 minutes.
You know what I love about Garden Grove? Well, many things. But just people like pop out, please, Gabriella, I'll volunteer. And actually, it doesn't matter if you volunteer or not. But lovely Emily has volunteered, so we're going to come back together here. Okay, Emily, what was it that you were discussing with your peers?
We were discussing the things that we believe we are successful at in the district. We believe that we are successful in our academic pursuits and preparing our students. But the thing that we were talking about we need to focus on further was in helping our students with scholarly habits. And the big thing there, we feel that our students maybe are lacking in is confidence and having the steps and the tools to be able to know what to do at home to study for a test. And I'm a music teacher, for those of you who know. And was discussing how, sometimes you might think how that scholarly habits are just for things like studying English or studying math, but the habits required for going home and studying and practicing the violin are the same scholarly habits that you would use to study for your math test. So those are the same type of habits that we want to instill in the fine arts that you guys are trying to instill in the classroom. So.
I could just sit down. I'll let you guys share the rest of this. You guys are good. Okay, so we're going to move on to Goal 2. Goal 2, I would say, is the area that has resonated most with all of our stakeholders, because these are those, they used to call them soft skills. These are the skills that you have to be successful, to be a good person, to be a human being. And one of the things that we know from talking with our parents and our students and our staff is that motivation is probably the biggest concern. How do I motivate myself? How do I motivate others? And so I thought I'd share with you, these are actually my incoming 8th grader class of mentees. There's another group of incoming 7th graders, and we're at, I have to remember, UCI, there's the aardvark. And so we asked some of the students, and we took from the survey results, what motivates our students. So I'd like you to read these. I won't read them to you. Can you see them? Okay, maybe I won't read them to you. You're too far away. So the first one is, my inspiration for being a success now and in the future is my parents. I sometimes go to work with my dad, and I can tell he's not happy cutting trees in the hot sun for very little money. I know my dad's wish is for me to have a better life than he has, and I want to fulfill his dream. You were also a great inspiration. There's a teacher who makes me feel like I am her number one. The teacher believes I can do anything, and I will never give up because of her. The teacher loves me so much, and it's the best feeling ever. The teacher will always support me and believe in me. And there were many, many responses like this. We have to save the teacher because we're not putting your names in, even though you'd be like, yeah, that's me, but you can't. Here's another teacher comment, and there's thousands of these. The teacher that makes me want to learn is my 4th period teacher, and you're all thinking, 4th period, do I teach 4th period? And man, because he pushes me to do my best and talks to me about the future to make me think. He believes in me, and that's all I need, a teacher to believe in me. No matter what, he'll be there in the good or bad times to keep me going in life. I can go to college, even if no one in my family ever did before. That's the inspiration that we give our kids. And should we forget the challenges that our kids go through? My inspiration for being a success in life now and in the future is my mom, because she goes outside every day to sell her fruit and try to earn money. My mom has worked so hard for 5 years to give my sisters and I a better life since my father passed away. This is a young lady that I've been working with this summer. These are our kids. They are so motivated by adults who believe in them. One of the things that we saw was between 91 and 98% of stakeholders believe that teachers believe that kids can be successful. That is a wonderful celebration because you are communicating every day. And actually, the word teachers, but it was adults, so it's also all the adults that they interact with. It says that you're communicating to them that you believe in them. You know they can be successful. But even with that belief, we still have some areas to address. Our students and our parents, 47% of students and 43% of parents scored, positively on believing, well, the opposite of. This is one of those hard questions that was reverse coded. So the question was, do you have to be smart to do well in school? So only 47 and 43% of students said, no, you don't have to be smart if you work hard. The remaining students, so more than half of the students and more than half of the parents indicated, you know what, if you're not smart, you can't do well in school. Why does that matter? Well, it matters because if I think you have to be smart, and I don't believe that I'm smart, then that significantly impacts my motivation. If I think I have to be beautiful to try out for the Miss Garden Grove, and I don't think I'm beautiful, why would I ever do that? And it's that motivational piece that we read last year in our Mindset book study that really draws that lesson home. Additionally, 1/3 of students believe that even if they try hard, some kids, and it might even be themselves they're thinking about, just cannot succeed in school. That's another mindset question. So we do have a challenge in that while our staff responded very favorably to that question, meaning that the majority of our staff disagreed or strongly disagreed with the statement, you have to be smart to do well in school, the majority of our parents and students thought differently. And so that's some work that we have to do district-wide and in each of our schools to help support our kids and our parents in changing that mindset. Goal 2B, our socio-emotional well-being, is something that we as all parents know is so important. Students have to feel good about who they are and being at school in order to be successful. We have some positives on socio-emotional well-being. 90% of students indicated they try to understand others' points of view. Yet a third of our students indicated they have a difficult time expressing their feelings. The graphic that you see here on social emotional learning is from a group called CASTLE, and it reflects the elements of social emotional learning that are important to support children with at school. And we have a video that I'm going to be showing just right now to illustrate the points a little bit better than I can personally. So here we go.
Social and emotional skills are the essential skills for success in school, work, and life.
Social emotional learning centers their mind and body. It reduces their emotional tension so they can be open to new content and material. We find that academic outcomes increase exponentially when students are nurtured, loved, and cared for, that we get much more out of them when we first address social emotional needs. So for us, it's actually an academic intervention and not just an emotional one.
If we expect students to be college and career ready, it's important for us to focus on these skills and competencies: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. Self-awareness is the ability to identify your emotions, to be able to tie thoughts and feelings to behaviors.
We find that self-awareness is one of the hardest things for young people, being aware of their own body space and the impact of their words and emotions on other people. So a lot of the work we do is reflective, through conflict mediation, through circles, through journaling, having them see their own impact on the world and then how to shift that or make a different choice next time.
Self-management is the ability to self-motivate, to have self-control, to regulate one's emotions.
In the classroom, that may be a breathing exercise, or that might be counting to 5 or taking a break.
So with students who don't really know how to deal with their anger or don't really know how to resolve conflict, we're giving them a tool that helps them deal with it in a less stressful way.
Social awareness is about embracing diversity, showing empathy for others. Activities might include service learning projects, addressing social justice issues. Role-playing is a great opportunity for students to address how a person might have felt in a conflict on the playground.
We're going to see if other people have had some of the very same experiences around bullying that we've had.
You're in my boat if you have a bully now.
Wow, I see a lot of people.
Relationship skills are important in project-based learning. It's the ability to work cooperatively with someone, to resolve conflict.
It's the one skill you need your whole life. You may not need calculus tomorrow, but you have to know how to work in relationship, whether it's for a coworker or a life partner. You have to know how to handle conflict and how to handle challenges.
Sometimes at recess, Marnie would come over and just start talking about us and saying mean things.
Is it your job to make Danae's job at school hard?
No, I know it's a form of bullying, and sometimes I'll say sorry to her.
So you choose to be someone's ally and make a better choice.
Responsible decision-making is considering the well-being for self and others. It's evaluating the consequences for various behaviors or actions. We do this through shared agreements, one-to-one problem solving, or having students debate an issue.
If you were like, hey, Kashida, how much does an A cost in this class? And you took out your wallet and I was like, I think $50 would work. Which one of us would be corrupt in that case?
You're the one that's asking for the money?
We're truly teaching these students to be productive citizens. We're teaching them life skills. We're teaching them how to problem solve effectively. We're teaching them how to be resilient.
I think of all the billions of dollars we've spent on Title I and all these intervention programs, and when all is said and done, what do we have to show for it? I think we're trying to teach technical things instead of devoting some of the resources to teach who you are as a person. Once you know who you are, then learning becomes exciting because you've already established a discipline.
It's important for teachers and principals to understand that it can't be a binder off the shelf. It can't be something that happens from 2:15 to 4:30 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It has to be part of the school culture.
Giving teachers flexibility, giving them a range of skills, giving them different ways that it can look, and allowing them to take their own personality and match that to what they want in their classroom has been the best way to get authentic, true practice.
If we continue to do what we've always done, we're always going to get what we always got. Is that good enough? I don't think it's good enough for the 21st century. We need to be the outliers to try things that have never been tried and see if they work. What are we waiting for?
It's a very powerful video. If you want to see more, we'll be discussing during the year. The organization is CASEL, CASEL.org, and we'll be sharing more with you about thinking through this conceptual framework of what does socio-emotional well-being look like. One department, or two departments combined, special education and student services, that have done a great deal of work of supporting our students' socio-emotional well-being for general education and special education students. And Ms. Lorraine Ray, our Assistant Superintendent of Special Education and Student Services, is going to share some of the highlights with you.
Thank you, Gabriella. Well, we can truly say now, I'm happy to say that we are a pre-K to an adult transition district now. I'm thrilled. We have an ECEC, Early Childhood Education Center at the Carver campus, and there's a satellite part of that campus at Heritage. And at that campus, we have our special ed students, we have our state preschool students, we have our Head Start students, and we also have spots open for children of employees and neighborhood students. So I think this really is an exciting program. And in special ed, we continue to work and support our teachers. And one of the ways that we can do to support our teachers is through professional development. And another way we know is to hire more teachers to lower class sizes. Along with that, it's been a very exciting summer, and we're very excited that we've had the opportunities and the direction from Gabriella to do all these extra things in making special ed a little bit more easier for our teachers and all of our DIS personnel that work with their students. So we've also put in place a curriculum which will start, there'll be training this week for our MS students in our district, and that is a pre-K to an adult transition curriculum as well. And we wanted to continue to focus our support on our students and on mental health issues. So to continue to support our students, we've added more nurses, more speech and language pathologists, more school psychologists, and more adaptive PE teachers. Gabriella, they like me. Also, we've added, in our behavior support, we really are one of the finest in our county in our behavior support program, in our ABA, and we've added other layers to that program to be more supportive to our students with autism and with our other special ed classes. We started this year, it'll be brand new, and it's called Strive, and it's for our students with mental health challenges. And then we will continue to work with our mental health grant in more crisis intervention and training for our teachers, our staffs, our DIS personnel. And then we also want to look at the positive approach to school climate that we've been talking about and what Kelly and Sarah talked about in our schools, right down to the nitty-gritty of our sites. And we want to continue the positive behavior intervention support that many of the schools are already doing, which is PBIS. And we've offered more training for more sites to do PBIS, and we're excited that many of you have decided to take that offer, and we'll be working and understanding more on supporting all of the students in the training. And then we also are going to be looking at our discipline systems and a positive look at our district in the principles of behavior. We will look at models of behavior programs. We will look at making connections with students. And we will focus on bullying and cyberbullying and continue to promote all schools with a positive climate. So with those programs, we will work and put those out. We will work as teams with your principals and your school sites so we can better support all of the sites in our district. And I want to thank all of our teachers, our special ed teachers, in particularly, who stayed in those long hours for IEPs, and for all of our DIS personnel and our principals, and all of our staffs that support the students with the special needs. You're very special, and I thank you.
I think that's the most applause so far, I'm counting. I think it was all the extra. I don't know, Rick's coming up, so you're there too. So, goal 2C, our climate and culture. And we know that students have to feel safe and welcome in their school. To be honest, many of us were a little surprised. We didn't expect the bullying as a problem for most students at my school to be so high. Not that it was huge, like 80%, but I had hoped for a smaller number, and I know that's something that we're going to continue to discuss. How can we ensure that students feel safe, feel comfortable dealing with some of the proactive discipline approaches, and ensuring that our climate for everyone, for students and for adults who work at the school, adults who work in the district, and our parents and community is respectful, is caring, inclusive, and feels safe. And we wouldn't be complete in discussing our climate and culture without acknowledging the wonderful work that has transpired with our bargaining units, GGA, CSEA, our supervisory, and our GGUSD groups to ensure that we're having those discussions about climate and culture. An important part of climate and culture, and also reflected on the survey, was our facilities. And thinking about facilities from a broader perspective, as well as many of the other operations that fall under business services, I'd like to introduce Mr. Rick Nakano, our Assistant Superintendent of Business.
Good morning, everyone. Before I get into some of the initiatives for this next school year that have actually been started over the summer, I wanted to mention two things. One, Don Wash Auditorium, since this was mentioned a couple times earlier today, will be going through a full renovation modernization in the 16-17 school year, so you won't be able to recognize this place, but obviously we'll be adding air conditioning, relocating the bathrooms, and some other things to make it more pleasant. The other thing I wanted to mention is, in addition to these priorities I'm about to briefly cover, the business division will never lose focus on what we consider our core functions, core business functions, which would include obviously transportation, daily meal services, maintaining and operating our buildings, all the computer technology connectivity, and of course, last but not least, keeping us fiscally solvent. So, with that in mind, the first item is budget, and as Dr. Mafi referred to earlier, we are in the year 3 of a 7-year governor's LCFF, the Local Control Funding Formula Plan, which obviously has been very, very positive. Probably went too many berries there, but very positive for our district. This has resulted in, as you will be finding out soon, the site LCFF budgets, which have increased this year, as was mentioned earlier, of course, to help to improve or increase services to our students. And last but not least, the one-time technology funds, which will be in place this year. Again, they are one-time, although this is the second year we're doing this, but they are one-time in that they won't be ongoing. So, modernization. This has been a challenge and a success for all of us in this room. Everyone in this room has been affected in one way or another. Some of you have completed, some are in the midst of it, in the throes of it, and others of you are about to start. The entire business team has been very busy with this, and that would include obviously our facilities department, maintenance operations, transportation department, our information systems department, food services, fiscal services, and business operations. But I would like to take this time to thank every single person in this room, especially all of those of you at the school sites, because we know this has had a massive impact upon the educational program, the instructional program, your daily lives. And we appreciate all the cooperation, because without it, I mean, this program would not be a success, and your cooperation has been critical. So thank you for that. As you know, with modernization, this has included the American with Disabilities Act, the ADA upgrades, improvements, the utility infrastructure upgrades and improvements, and the beginning of our rollout of HVAC, or air conditioning program. So many of you have benefited from that already, and we do plan to eventually bring air conditioning to all of our school sites. Technology. Well, lots has been going on in technology. I know all of you have been dealing with all the influx of new purchases we've been making, but we have to have the infrastructure to allow the connectivity. So we've been busy working with the Federal E-Rate program in conjunction with modernization to upgrade all of our wired and wireless infrastructures at all of our school sites. And again, we never lose sight of our goal is to improve and provide the best possible learning environment for our students and our staff. This summer, we've had a big upgrade to our district-wide internet connection to the outside world. I'm proud to say in the county, and probably close to the top in the state, our district office serves as the internet service provider to all of our schools. Our connection to the outside world is the largest in the county, and probably one, if not the largest in the state. We are also in the process of hiring a web developer, and we continue the expansion and support of all our cloud-based tools, including, as many of you use already, Google Classroom, Google Apps, and all the Google tools. Drought restrictions. Now, all of us deal with it at home and at work, but we here at Garden Grove Unified School District have been very busy responding to the governor's executive order that was issued in April. Some of the things we've done is our maintenance and operations department has reduced our irrigation timers where we can in the non-decorative areas by 25%, and others at varying degrees in other areas. Many of you may have seen or heard about our WaterWise hotline for the community. We've already been receiving calls, and it has helped us fix broken sprinkler heads, adjusted our timers, that type of thing. And an acronym you will hear sooner or later is DTL, stands for Drought Tolerant Landscaping. Right here at Garden Grove High School was our pilot for Drought Tolerant Landscaping. We plan to roll that out and take it to as many schools as we possibly can and can afford. And then drops. Many of you may have heard about drops. I know Santiago High School definitely has it. It's the Drought Response Outreach Program for schools. Again, it has to do with education and outreach to understand what we need to do to combat the drought. Last but not least, our school safety and emergency preparedness initiative this coming year. It's already in the works, actually. We have put in a new communications infrastructure for our emergency operations. We just purchased new emergency radios, which will soon be distributed and training for our school office staffs. We've been working very closely with Garden Grove Police Department and the fire departments to update our EOP, which is yet another acronym, but it stands for Emergency Operations Plan. We've been expanding our IPVS, which basically just stands for the video surveillance. That is at several of our campuses already, but we're expanding that program to help in school safety. And then of course through modernization, we've been installing fencing, fire alarms, intrusion alarms, the new phone system, the voice over IP, which also brings along with it E911. And we are about to start, and it will happen this school year, just not sure exactly when, to allow at these school sites with the new phone systems outside dialing from the classrooms. So we have a lot going on in the business division, but obviously we could not get any of this done without all of your cooperation and patience and understanding, and we very much appreciate it. Thank you.
So goal 2, that's a lot. We've got 2A, motivation, 2B, socio-emotional well-being, and 2C, climate and culture. So it's time for us to talk a little bit. Which are the elements of goal 2 that you feel are most successful district-wide at your site or in your department? And which do you feel that we need to focus on further? And I'm sure some brilliant person will be volunteering in just a moment. So we're going to take 3 minutes. Thank you. Amazing, and they jump out of their seats and say, please, pick me, I'd like to share. So we are going to hear from Louis. Let's check if the mic is on. Yes.
So what we were talking about is basically addressing some of those motivational needs and how we have, as a site, addressed some of those needs via advisors on our site, and also talking about what else we need to do to continue to do that outside of just the advisement selected times that we have, that it be ongoing, and also the roles that we also need to take on, sort of like parent-like, and teaching them and talking to our students in a way that shows that we do care about them and that's important for them to have that intrinsic motivation.
So goal 3 is really what comes after the equals in the equation of the academic skills plus the personal skills equals lifelong success. And we have ways to measure that before and after graduation. We know that our students have high aspirations. The chart you see on the top is what we've been able to track from students over a cohort several years past. We're a year or 2 delayed, always with getting the data because we have to see if they actually enroll. But as you can see here, we have a good number of students combined, the blue and the yellow, that enroll in either a 2-year or 4-year college program directly after graduation. And our students coming up, our 3rd through 12th grade students, when we ask them how far do you expect to go in school, pretty amazing. 47% said an advanced degree. 37% said, well, at least a 4-year degree. So together, that's just an amazing aspiration that our students have, and that's from the conversations that you've had with them ongoing in the classroom and at the school site, in the counseling offices, and just informal communication that you have as you see them in passing. We know that in Garden Grove, we beat the county and the state, which is always my favorite thing to do, in our graduation rate. We have 89. We should know how many kids graduated, but we're still finalizing all of that percentage, and we'll get it pretty soon. And then we also know that we have a large number, far exceeding most similar districts, of students taking and passing our AP exams. We have 6,000 6,000 total exams taken, with the 66.4% pass rate, which is really strong given the high number of students taking our advanced placement. So that's kudos to all of you from pre-K all the way to 12 getting you prepared. We also know our AP through G rate has by now almost doubled by the calculations we have for the 2015 graduates. It should have doubled from 2006, when it was actually 29%. And so even for these students, this is any student who graduates in our system, was at 50 most recently, and sorry, this graph, I had to superimpose it with a more recent graph, of a 54.4% in 2014. But we also know that the students who stay with us all 4 years of high school, that's over 60% of the kids who stay with us from 9th through 12th grade meet their college entrance requirements. That's pretty amazing and far exceeding the state and the county, which we like to do. Because really, as Jolie had mentioned earlier, the goal is not just to say, oh, they get good grades or good test scores or they're happy at school, but what do we want as parents? We want them, well, even though it's sad when they leave us, we want them to live independently eventually and be successful and have their own lives. And for them to do so, they need to be successful moving forward as adults. When we think about the Garden Grove Way, we're talking about supporting not just the academic interests or supports, but the whole child. But not only the whole child, the whole parent, and the whole employee. And continuing to improve and excel as a district to help our students realize their American dreams. And we know a part of that is supporting and working with our parents and also thinking beyond just the academics. And so I'd like to introduce Dr. Dorena Sanchez, who's our Executive Director of K-12 Educational Services, who's going to share some highlights with you on the work we're doing with parents and supporting the whole child.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to give you an update regarding K-12 Ed Services. Our office includes parent and community outreach, visual and performing arts, VAPA, formerly known as fine arts. We have GATE, evaluation and research, and the assessment and registration center. Not sure if y'all knew that. So one of the highlights that I'm going to share, I'm going to share three, and I will start with what we're doing in parent and community outreach. We are going to expand support for parents and trainings, beginning with 10 Commandments in Education, which helps parents to navigate through our school system. The 40 developmental assets, as many of you have gone through that training yourselves. We're going to provide that training to help our parents build relationships as well. And our newest program is TESSA. Similar to TESSA, what's wonderful about this program is that it is parallel to the TESSA program that our teachers are utilizing in the classrooms. It has the same research-based strategies to help improve student motivation. So we're really excited about that. Our second highlight is our Visual and Performing Arts VAPA plan will be implemented. It has been board approved. Thank you, board members. And through this plan, we will increase visual and performing arts programs district-wide K through 12. And third and final highlight, not that a lot of other highlights could be shared, but we wanted to keep it to three, is that K-12 Educational Services, we're at the forefront of the strategic plan. And not only in helping to develop it, implement it, but through evaluation and research. Many of you have seen data and reports, and we will continue to provide disaggregated data. And not only with strategic plan, but with other assessments such as the SBAC and upcoming things that will help us to keep a pulse and really inform us so that we can work on our work and guide the work that we do to help us meet our strategic plan goals. Thank you so much for your time.
So as we think about the work that we do with our parents, I always think of the term in loco parentis, probably because my husband loves Latin also, and even though he's an English teacher. And the phrase in loco parentis stands for in place of the parent, and it refers to the responsibility we have. It technically refers to the legal responsibility, but I like to think of it as the moral imperative that we have to take on the functions and responsibilities of a parent. As Lorena mentioned and Louis before her, how do we go above and beyond? And when we look at that child in the classroom or in the lunch line or on the bus and view that child as our own child and what would we want for him or her? Having raised two children and just being so delighted with the the way that they have been treated in the school system from pre-K through 12 and now as a graduate student and college graduate. But I have my own new perspective now with a little one who, should we be blessed for him to live past his severe medical issues, he will have significant severe disabilities. And my husband and I have been talking about, you know, should we be blessed, and we hope we will, for him to live to be at school age, having him go to school as a nonverbal child and really having that trust and faith, as we do, in the school system to say they're going to look out for him. He's not going to be able to express himself verbally, and he's not going to be able to say when he's in pain or when he needs something. But I know that all of you take that approach as you're looking at our children, whether they're very expressive, and sometimes they're expressive in ways we don't love, or unable to express, and taking that perspective as the parent. And that's really what the Garden Grove Way is about. It's looking at each child, each student, as if it were our own child that we brought into the world. And I'd like to share with you a video about just a snapshot of some of the mentoring projects. There are many more, and there are things that you are doing at each of your school sites, within your departments, and within the community as a whole. But this will just provide a little bit of information on some of the things we're doing with mentoring.
Supporting the Garden Grove Way through mentoring. The Garden Grove Way is about caring for all students as if they were our own children, which includes developing their academic and personal skills in order to prepare them for college and career success. This approach is a part of our long-standing college-going culture, preparing students for a successful life after high school. In talking to students, we've come to find that there are many misconceptions about college and financial aid, leading students to believe that college is unattainable, which directly affects student motivation. Additionally, by teaching scholarly habits that lead to academic success, students will be better prepared to excel in their academic pursuits. By focusing on improving on both academic and personal skills, we are preparing students for lifelong success. In support of our strategic plan, the Garden Grove Way, the district is implementing the College and Career Mentoring Program, also known as CCMP. The program began in the 2014-15 school year with 3 elementary schools and continues to expand annually. What's unique about this program is that the mentors working with our students attended the same elementary schools as their mentees. They serve as positive role models who come from the same neighborhoods and now attend local area universities. They are living proof that students from that elementary can and do attend college if they make a commitment of doing their best and developing their academic and personal skills, including scholarly habits and motivation.
I chose to be a college mentor because I wanted to pay it forward to my community, but also help out students who had similar situations as me. Growing up in the Buena Clinton neighborhood, I had little to no information about college and academic success, but fortunately for me, I was guided through a couple of educators. In elementary, I had the opportunity to be in this after-school homework club center with Boomer and Adriana, and I still remember these 2 mentors' name. I didn't realize at the time what they were doing for me. I thought they were just helping me with homework, but later on in a couple of years, like when I got to middle school, I realized that the study skills they had showed us, all the conversations we had about college and academic success had actually helped me out in the long run. So I would like the opportunity to kind of pay it forward or do the same to students who had similar situations as me and help them just build those foundational skills. At the time, right now, they might not realize what we're doing or what the importance of it is, but I hope that one day they can look back and realize that what we did was actually helping them and it's useful.
Our mentors are former students who feel fortunate to have received a strong foundation in GGUSD and have returned to serve the community.
College and Career Mentoring Program helps establish positive role models for students who may not have one. I come from a similar background, similar community as they do, and I think this program helps them see that they can also be successful and reach their goals one day. I share similar sacrifices like they do, and my parents share the same ones maybe as their parents do, and when they see this, they can see that they're the same as I am, and through this they can hopefully aspire to reach their goals and be successful one day. This program I think helps open up new windows, such as a conversation with their parents as pursuing a higher education. I had a nice role model when I was in 7th grade, a teacher who inspired me to pursue a higher education. When I would see him, I would see how a professional was supposed to be, and he became this professional because of an education. And I think when these students see us helping them, they can also aspire to be great professionals one day. Through this program, I hope the students can realize that they have somebody else out there to look out for them.
The CCMP program covers 6 modules. The mentors build rapport with the students by sharing their personal stories about growing up here in the community, the challenges they faced, and their motivations to attend college. After building a sense of trust, the mentors facilitate activities and engage the students in lessons that help them develop the personal skills needed to achieve success.
So a positive change that I saw in this program was positive self-talk. I had a student that was very challenging at first because he felt that he wasn't fit to be in this program. We had a situation where things got too complicated during the program, and I had to take him outside and talk to him one-on-one. Once I began talking to him one-on-one, he began to cry. He told me that no one has ever cared about him or believed in him the way that I told them that I did. I let him know that I wanted him to be part of this program because I knew that he had the potential to one day go to college and be successful in life. He looked at me and he said that he didn't trust me, he didn't believe in what I had to say. So it was a process that we had to go through. Throughout the program, I began to see and connect with him and see him grow in a way that was positive for him and for myself. This inspired me to keep doing this mentoring program because I was able to connect with these kids in a way that their parents can't or their teachers can't, because coming from a mentor, they look at you as a positive role model and they begin to think of themselves in a more positive way, that they can go to college and they can get good grades, and even if they're in a bad start, they can do something now to improve and grow in the future.
The inspiration for GGUSD's College and Career Mentoring Program began 2 years ago when Superintendent Mafi began mentoring her first cohort of 46 grade students at 2 of our highest poverty elementary schools. These first-generation students, called the Class of 2020, for the year they will graduate from high school and go on to college, are now in 8th grade and developing their scholarly habits and motivation to prepare for college and career success. The Class of 2020 has been joined by 67 Class of 2021 mentees at 3 schools. All students in the mentoring program meet regularly with Dr. Mafi through the summer and school year to develop their academic and personal skills, participate in field trips to local universities, and receive support through weekly tutoring and study groups facilitated by college tutors and mentors.
What I most appreciate about the program is that it brings a whole new world to the kids where they have more of a future. They think of their future. They're not thinking of the present, they're thinking of their future. And it's just a whole new light.
The mentoring program has made a difference in my life because I am now a better person, and I know that I will succeed in life.
Many students feel that college is not an option for them because of the environment that they live in. Many students are also afraid to ask questions to the teachers because they're scared other students will bring them down or make fun of them. This program changes that by encouraging our students to ask teachers questions and raise their hand whenever they don't understand something. The teachers are there for them, so that's what we always tell them. The teachers are your friends, and ask questions so you can learn. Also, like I said, many students feel that they can go to college because of the money situation. Both of my parents come from Mexico. We have a big family. So growing up little, I understand how they think. I told them this is my 5th year in college and I haven't paid them one penny out of pocket for my school. So just stay in school, do all your work, get good grades, and then you won't have to worry about paying for college because it'll be for free.
Students are expected to commit to doing their best in school and apply the lessons learned to their schoolwork.
Yo estoy muy agradecida con el programa de mentores porque mi niña ha alcanzado metas muy grandes y sé que va a alcanzar metas más grandes que estas. Ella está más dedicada al estudio, está más concentrada en quedar bien con sus mentores, en hacer lo que ellos le dicen. Es un cambio muy importante, un beneficio muy grande Estamos muy agradecidos, mi familia y yo, porque sé que esto está motivando a mi hija cuando ella necesita tanta motivación. Para mí es muy importante que mi niña cumpla todas sus metas. Yo como mamá me encantaría tener a mi hija logrando todos sus propósitos y por eso estoy muy agradecida con este programa. Gracias.
It's important for me to go to college one day because I want to be able to provide for my mom and to get a good job. The mentoring program has made a difference in my life because I'm able to pay more attention in school, and when my friends ask me if I want to hang out while I still have homework, I do my homework instead.
One day at the program, I was speaking to my group of students, and I asked them why they joined. The majority of them said that they wanted to be first-generation college graduates to one day support their parents. One of the students opened up with us and surprised us all by sharing with us his story that his mother recently passed away. It was at that moment that made me realize why I was here as a mentor for these students. This student, just like most of the other students, is here for his parents. He decided to make that decision on his own. Without his mother there, he took it upon himself to better himself, to graduate college, to go after his dream job, and to make his mother proud. I believe that this is what we're trying to do as mentors. That no matter what these kids go through, no matter what is put before them, we help them believe that they can and they will become successful.
I don't know, it's just a different experience. I have a child that never really thought about his future, and now his mind is just expand and he's looking forward to the future. You're talking about a kid that, was in the cool crowd and didn't care really much about his grades and now has improved successfully and thinks about his grades and who he wants to be and how important it is to study. It's just changed both of my boys, especially one, very much so. And I'm very, very grateful for Dr. Mafi for doing that and bringing him into his program. It really means a lot to my family and to my boys.
Many GGUSD alumni and staff have expressed an interest in serving our community as mentors to students. The stories of our students, their challenges, and their determination to overcome all obstacles inspire us all to make personal connections with the students we serve.
Mentoring provides the support that our students need.
For me, mentoring is the reason to why I am in college. The way I see my mentors is that I see them as locksmiths. These mentors of mine, these locksmiths of mine, were able to open up these doors by providing the correct keys in order for me to open them. Before, I wasn't really following the right footsteps. I was actually following the wrong paths and looking up to the wrong people. These locksmiths of mine ranged from teachers, staff members, advisors. These locksmiths made it clear to me that the key to success is failure. In a way, you can make all these mistakes throughout your lifetime, but if you manage to learn from your mistakes, you learn to move on, progress, because you don't want to be stagnated and just be in one spot. You need to progress, and in a way, after you improve yourself, your own personal being, you improve those around you, not just your family, your community as well, and maybe even more profound, the world.
Our students want to achieve, succeed, and become successful and responsible citizens who contribute and thrive in a diverse society. Here in GGUSD, we go above and beyond to help them realize their American dreams.
This is just a snapshot of some of the projects that we have. You all are formally and informally mentoring students, whether it's in the classroom, out on the yard, in the lunch line, in the bus stop, in the work that you do with parents and community every day. And I would like to invite you, if you would like to be a part of a more formal mentoring program, our CCMP program, which is now expanded to 7 sites, and eventually the goal is to have every elementary school site with the CCMP, but it takes a while to develop, and so we're starting with our most at-risk schools to begin with, and then we'll continue to spread the program. But if you're not in a position where you get to interact with students on a daily basis, there are so many ways that you can mentor to support the Garden Grove Way. It can be for students, for families, or for staff. And many of us also have informal roles in mentoring new employees, new teachers, new classified staff that come on and supporting them in the Garden Grove Way. When we think about and reflect on the Garden Grove Way, our strategic plan and the work that we do, it's really much more than academics, it's much more than personal skills, it's impacting the lives of others, it's impacting entire communities, and that is the Garden Grove Way. And on behalf of the Board of Education and our district staff and school staffs, I want to thank you for the commitment and dedication that you show to our students, our parents, and to each other on a daily basis. And that's what makes Garden Grove such a wonderful place, and that is the Garden Grove Way. Thank you.